NFL wildcard picks for January 15th. We were coming off back-to-back 2-1 days in the NFL. Yesterday, for our first play, we had the Cowboys -7. Everybody know how that went. You go down 27-0 at one point, and they did. They did have a chance to kind of make it a game, to cut it to 16 at one point with some time left in the third. And then they kind of made it a little dicey late. Not that it wasn't that scary though for the Packers. Dak Prescott played really bad. Two picks and a pick six. Really not a good game. Curious to see what the Cowboys end up doing in the offseason. The Bill Belichick, people saying Bill Belichick. If the Cowboys got Bill Belichick, when they make the playoffs, they will never show up like that again. But on to our other two picks that we ended up hitting. We had CeeDee Lamb, 100 plus receiving yards. This one was scary. He only had, I want to say 40 something at halftime. And then he got all the way up to 60 in the fourth quarter. And then Dak hit him with a deep ball, 50-yard deep ball to put him over the top. So he ended up hitting that. Even though it was a blowout, it kind of helped because, him and Dak weren't on the same page in the first half. And then the whole second half, the Cowboys were just having to throw the ball. So that helped on that end. And then finally, we had the Rams plus 3.5 against the Lions. That was a great football game. There was 31 points in the first quarter, and then then it finished up 24-23. So great game, 1 point game. The refs kind of missed a couple calls in that game, but all in all, it was a great game. Hopefully, the two games today are more like the Sunday night football game last night. For today, I have 3 picks for the final of Wild Card Weekend. For the first game, we have the Steelers plus 10 at the Bills, over under 38.5. This game was postponed due to weather. It was supposed to be played yesterday morning. I guess the weather's going to be a little bit better, but it's still going to be, in Buffalo, still going to be snowing, still going to be cold. Not sure how the Steelers keep getting into the playoffs, but they do. They keep finding a way. Mike Tomlin, one of the best coaches in the NFL, top 3 coach in the NFL. The Bills had a big time comeback win last week on the road against the Dolphins to win the division and secure the number 2 seed. But really, is Mason Rudolph the answer for Pitt? Like, since they brought him in, their offense has been playing great. They've got the run game going, and they've been winning football games, which is something they couldn't do offensively with Kenny Pickett or Mitch Trubisky. But I think the real question and concern for the Steelers is no T.J. Watt, and that's really detrimental to them, I believe. And then other than the Ravens, I think the Bills are probably the favorite, to come out and make the Super Bowl. But like I said, the Steelers have got their run game going, which is crucial for them with the two-headed monster and Najee and Jaylen Warren. But just because they can run the ball, I don't think they'll be able to throw it. I like the Bills minus 9.5. I like the Bills minus 9.5 at home. Like I said, the Bills are at home after losing at home last year to Joe Burrow in a game that really wasn't close at all. It kind of got blown out by Joe Burrow. I expect the Bills. I just don't see a way the Bills can lose to the Steelers after that. I also feel like the Steelers' offense reverts back to their old ways, as in, not looking good. They're not going to be able to throw the ball. I think Mason Rudolph reverts back. He's been with the Steelers for a while, but he's never been the day one starter. He's never gone into the season as a starter for a reason. I think the moment in the playoffs is going to be too big for him. And, having another day, I think that's just going to add to his nerves. So yeah, I like the Bills minus 9.5. I think they get the job done at home. I would also, consider playing the under. I'm not going to play it, but if you're looking for a pick and you don't like the Bills minus 9.5, I would consider the under here as well. Next game between the Eagles for the next game, we have the Eagles minus 3.5 at the Bucks, over under 43.5. These teams played in week 3, and the Eagles won it 25-11. They rushed for over 200 yards on Tampa. But this was before, the Bucks started getting things going and before we knew the Eagles had the problems that they have. But right now for the Eagles, injuries are a huge concern. Jalen Hurts is injured, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, just to name a few. Also, I don't feel like their offensive line has been playing as good as we expect them to. Their defense can't stop anything. That's the real big glaring issue. The last 2 weeks, though, the Bucks offense hasn't been playing their best. But I think this is more of a get-right spot for the Bucks offense rather than a get-right spot for the Eagles defense. I think Baker has the weapons all around him to get the job done. So I like the Bucks plus 3 at home. It's hard to beat since the Eagles already went into Tampa and beat them. It's going to be really hard to go back into Tampa and beat them again. I think the Bucs are obviously healthier. I think they have more confidence heading into the game. The Eagles have lost 5 out of their last 6, and the Bucs have been improving all season, whereas the Eagles have been aggressing all season. It's as simple as that. And I truly believe the Bucs match up better now than the Eagles. We're 2-0 on player props this wild card weekend, so let's make it a 3-0 on player props. I like Rachaad White over 21.5 receiving yards. This line was earlier in the week all the way up to 24.5. It's dropped down now, but he's hit this in 4 out of his last 5 games. The Eagles have the 31st pass defense in the NFL. I expect the Eagles to bring pressure, try to make Baker make bad decisions, and Baker to look for his check down, and maybe the Bucs run a couple screens, and Rachaad White easily hit this number. Those are my 3 picks to finish off wildcard weekend in the NFL. We'll see you next week in the NFL for the divisional round.